Hello, Divine Family. I hope everyone's doing well and hoping enjoying their Sunday. Uh, I needed a couple days, this Cancerian energy plus the full moon. Phew, man, I can't. I'm glad it's over because shit. But it affects me too. I come on not afraid to express my emotions, my feelings. I express. I'm very expressive. That's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to like let it in, let it out, let it flow, let it go. It's the people that hold stuff in or ignore or deny are the ones that get sick. So before anything gets said, I want to address Mr. Wim, who ignorantly made a comment on my video that I specifically said was for women, which is why I said it was for women. We are in a new world. You're absolutely right. And I've tapped into that world, this world, all kinds of different worlds, okay? But in my physical reality, I still see things. I still see what others experience, and it touches my heart. And because it touches my heart, heart openness, is why I choose to express, and I express for women that don't know how to express for themselves because of this patriarch system we've been under. And if you cannot understand that, if nothing I'm saying is resonating with you or anyone, you could just keep on moving. I don't troll nobody else's pages and attack and say anything. I'll read what they're saying. I'm like, oh, they're having a bad day today. Let me keep it moving or whatever. Or it doesn't matter. I don't need to go attack and oppose my opinions on what other people are saying. I let them be. I let them speak. Isn't that kind of like sovereignty? Some people don't even really know what sovereignty and freedom is. So when they see me so free in my expression, free of other people's thoughts, opinions, societies, views, all these things, they can't stand it. Oh my God. And they want those to be the ones that want to Bible thump me and try to shut me up and all these things. And it's fine. I typically don't get triggered by what people say. I laugh mostly. I take what you say and I throw it back at you and I laugh. You're like food to me. You make me giggle mostly. But when I'm feeling the raw emotions and pain of somebody suffering, that's serious to me. Okay, I don't take that shit lightly. Okay, and I don't know, since light is shedding on everything, doesn't that mean it's shedding all the darkness and the ignorance in the world? And those are the things we should be talking about, because how are we going to find solutions to the problems if we don't talk about the hard things, which nobody ever wants to seem to talk about? Everybody just wants to sweep everything under the rug, act like nothing didn't happen, ignore, da 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 da. No, I can't tell other people what to do. But I know what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to complain about things and then not take actions behind the complaints. So as though you got those people that like to cry and complain and pray to God all day, wah, 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 but they don't do anything. They don't speak up. They don't call out. They do nothing and wait for somebody else to do it. And then when somebody else finally does come around to do it, you don't like the way that they done it. And then you have an opinion. So just whatever. Like I said, if nobody's resonating with what I'm saying, move on. It's not easy for a lot of us to come on and talk. A lot of us possess a lot of high level, adept knowledge, higher understanding, and we have to literally slow down our vibration and find digestible words to bring these truths to you. You understand? So it's not easy, and I'm grateful that I have my husband, because first and foremost, everyone is at their own age levels and stages of their evolutionary journey. So it's like the more people can understand that, the more they can just kind of keep their judgments and opinions to themselves. Unless you're offering like insight, a kind word, something supportive, just don't say anything at all. I've made my position very clear. Yes, this is fifth dimension and beyond, because I've gone beyond and I'm trying to show everybody else how to go beyond. But it takes time to get there, and you got to do the work, which is why I keep saying over and over again, you got to do the work. It's an inside job, not an outside one. But, just have a little bit of respect. And it's the same rule that I have in my house. And I tell everybody, you don't have to like what I have to say. But in my house and in this group, it's the same rules apply. You have to have an open mind. This is a place of love, healing, and truth, sharing. Okay, we're all trying to walk each other home. It's not about an over under, who's better, who's smarter, who knows, men lead women, women lead men, blah, 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 all that nonsense, you know. I speak for my woman because I am a woman and I know their pain, you know. So again, most men that are attuned to the mother don't combat me at all. They're egging me on like, yeah, go sis, go. You know, they're supportive because they know what I'm saying is true on a soul level. So I speak soul. I don't know what everybody else speaks, bro, but I speak soul. You know, so, you know, and people got to stop getting, I'm speaking words and people are getting mad. Like, so you know I'm triggering you. And it's not my job to make anybody comfortable. It's the uncomfortableness is how you heal. There's no other way. The people, you know, all this false light, new age spirituality got people thinking that ascension is supposed to be all airy fairy, light and love and all fluffy and all that bullshit. No, it's god awful. It's horrible. It sucks. It's raw. It's emotional. It's deep. Getting through all the layers. It's ugly. It's not an easy path to walk. Okay, so maybe have respect for others and where they are, you know, and that's basically it. But this video might go on a little longer, or I might split it in two, but I'm not gonna hold brother Roderick up anymore. I promised him a video about, you know, Theranos and all that, and I swear to God, if you guys check out this dude named Q Reeves on YouTube, him and I, like, oh my God, he talks about a lot of the similar stuff that I talk about, just in a different way, but it's still in alignment. So he literally just was talking about a lot of things similar to what I was getting ready to talk about as far as like the inner earth beings and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to tie it in. So, you know, and my husband is all around my own experiences. So, you know, of course when I first had my awakening, you know, of course the UFOs, I said this story before, but, you know, I'm drawn to the mystical, you know, all the mystical stuff. I love exploring the other realms. So, you know, before I did any really studies on the esoteric and occultism and all that other stuff, I went straight to, you know, mythology, folklore, all that stuff. And I learned about Agartha. I actually learned, I wish I could remember the book it was that I read, but it was like a different take of Agartha, and it seemed more authentic compared to the one that people mostly know, where they make it seem like it's all, you know, beautiful beings and all that, and that couldn't be furthest from the truth. There's a lot going on up in there, okay? But like, so, you know, my dude, we're at different levels. I told you, he'll tell people I'm flying on a unicorn and he's riding on the back of a turtle. No truer words are spoken. But, you know, my rule is, as long as you're moving forward, you're moving forward. I don't care, you know, you're growing, you're evolving. So I'm patient. And some of us that are in these relationships, I've said it before, if you're going to choose to be in a divine union, you have to recognize where each person is, and it's up to you whether or not you have the patience and endurance to keep up with them, or, you know, slow your process. I didn't slow my process down. I left everybody in the dust, and I came back 3 times. That's pretty much where I am. But I love him. He's a good man, you know, and I call him my practice human. You know, I'm like, all right, you know, he's my sounding board. If I can get him to understand a lot of these concepts and ideas, then that means I can get anybody to understand. So he's like my sounding board. You know, I'm a lot. I know I'm a lot. A lot of my videos show that I'm a lot. So, you know, I say it all the time. He deserves an award for being patient with me. I'm a lot. But, you know, I'm like, I don't know how to say it. Once you're activated, you're absorbing, and it's a lot. And I'm always endlessly a student. I teach and I share, but I'm also always learning. I'm always open to receive and to hear other perspectives. You know, change is a constant. Even your way of thinking changes. It should, you know. Otherwise, you've put yourself in another box. And I seek freedom and liberation and sovereignty above all else. You know, I don't I even hate wearing clothes. Like, I fucking hate it sometimes. I'm like, I just want to be free, but whatever. So first, so there's this guy, Daryl Daryl Anka. I'm sure a lot of you that are on my group have watched Bashar. I typically don't get into a whole lot of people that do channelings. Just, I don't know. Not that they're wrong or not that they're not channeling who they say they are. Just more of like, you can't trust everyone that says they're a channeler anymore that you could trust anybody that has a deck of tarot cards. There's a lot of scams. I'm not saying he is, but there's a lot of propaganda that goes beyond that. And that's why I'm not claiming no title, no, nothing. I'm just me. I'm just plain old Stephanie, nothing special, nothing, I feel like if you're going to listen to me, you're going to listen to me. I shouldn't have to say I'm channeling this being or I'm so-and-so from such and such and all these things for you to hear me. I'm coming at you as a regular human being like you. Like, hey, we're normal, yeah, we're powerful, we're all these things, yes. But as from human to human, a lot of people think that they're not smart enough to understand or they're not powerful enough or, whatever. And they look at other people and start looking at them like they're gods and all that. And that's another thing. I've already said it in my videos. I'm not going to retouch it. I said at most we're baby gods with training wheels on. We got to stop that spiritual ego is what caused our fall in the first place. Always trying to be some hierarchy or, better or show somebody up or whatever. We did a lot. And, like I said, the 1,000 years of peace means it's going to take us 1,000 years to get there. And this false light is predicting a world of utopia. And it's not going to, you see what's going on in the world. It's going to take time, okay? At best, we're going to have harmonious relationships to start working more, to serve the all versus service to self. But we're still going to have our issues. So please, people, don't get confused. But so again, the mystical and all that. So yes, I did studies and research and all that. Most of my experiences, I've had the experiences first, and like I said, and then I read about it later. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. And I'm glad that it works out that way, because then it lets me know that my experience was real and it's not something that I just put in my mind or some subconscious thing or whatever. So I've been through many different initiations in different realms. This is what I'm doing in the inner worlds all the time. That's why sometimes it's hard for me to be in the physical world, because I'd rather be in the spiritual world all day. I'm playing, I'm having fun. But I mean, I'm having fun in the physical too, but you get what I'm trying to say. So Cyrano is a Celtic deity god, and I'm glad this guy Q, he brought it up, because another name for him would be Pan. Okay, so and I'm using my dude and my experience to tie this in. So when I started investigating, the first thing when you wake up, you want to know who you are, why you're here, why are you where you are. You should start investigating these things. Your ancestry, tying it all in, all of it, because there's you are where you are for a reason, and you got to know why. That's where your power lies. So upon doing my own inner work and investigating, I was doing, on him too. I wanted to know, and I wanted to know about his family, his lineage, this darkness that follows him and his family. And it's so crazy. Like, this guy Q was literally talking about Canada and the karma of the the natives or the indigenous tribes there, and it all ties in to everything with my dude's family. He's Cree Native American, and his family, his tribe was one of the tribes that got pushed all the way up in Canada. And during all that stuff that happened or whatever. And when we in school and whatever we're taught, we think that some of these native tribes are all holy and pure, and no, No, they weren't. They were just human beings too that fucked up just as much as any other human being on this planet. So they're not all holy and pure, and I quickly realized that because when I was doing research on his family, not only was I doing research on his lineage and the darkness that plagues them, I was watching documentaries about what's going on because, they were owed money from stuff back in the 1800s, and they've been waiting for this money for a very, very long time because part of the deal when they gave up their land, which Q was right, they absolutely did, they sold out, that they were supposed to get 2 cows and a plow, so it's called cows and plows. And they were supposed to get this. Each tribe was supposed to get 2 cows and a plow. Well, obviously that never happened, and they were pushed up into barren land, and a lot of darkness came behind it. A lot of starvation. It was cold weather, so they couldn't even live off the land anymore. So they resulted into cannibalism. It was like mass hysteria. A lot of bad stuff happened to those people over there. And when you look at them today, you can still see how primitive they are. And I'm like, whoa. And I was like, bro, your family lives on land that they were given for free, and they don't have agriculture. They don't farm. I'm like, why are they reading books to figure out what berries they're picking? Aren't they supposed to already know? They I have so many questions. I'm like, they didn't build themselves schools. They didn't. But what are they doing? They're right now as we speak. A lot of his tribes people up there are all messed out. I'm like, they got meth over there? I was shocked. Let me just say it. I was shocked. They're over there just getting drunk and high off moonshine and meth, getting government assistance every week, not every month. They get paid every week, and they've done nothing to rebuild, nothing to grow and evolve, just spitting out babies like it's nobody's business. I couldn't. It was shocking, and I'm like, whoa. And long story short, so his mom, raped and abused, got smuggled into America by his European father, and had him, and here we are, So there's a lot of ancestral karma tied to his lineage and stuff, and, his siblings are playing out a lot of the same karmic patterns, trickle down from the ancestry from them, and he can't understand this darkness that plagues him currently. He's got that voice in his mind. It's like a trickster. It is a trickster. And he is a Gemini. And everybody, if you understand occultism and all that, that Mercury would be associated with the trickster, right? So anyway, I'm doing this investigation or whatever, and I'll never forget. And this just came to me 6 months ago, but I have been doing this for a very long time. And so when I started having experiences traveling, I activated my Merkaba, so obviously I've time traveled. Yes, I went to a timeline where I seen the future, where we, basically let technology and AI be our God, and, our bodies were dying off because we were so having these inorganic frequencies around us all the time. All this technology isn't good for our body. This is why a lot of us came back and we're choosing the organic timeline, because that too much of that is just, it's not good. It's not good. I'm not going to get into the depths of all that because I want to keep it about the inner earth realm. But basically, I started doing these little things and meeting other beings. Well, back to Bashar. I remember seeing a video about Bashar saying that there was 5 stages to the human evolution. And I listened to him specifically on this one because I was called to. Something I knew. I knew that what he was saying was true. And it's like you become a sage, then you become a cryptic, then you become the magi, sorcerer, and then the last one is the wraith. Okay, and obviously You know, we've already talked about what the magi is, and the true magi is the one that has the ability to make the unseen seen. You know, that's why they call them the priest kings and magi's and stuff, because they were diviners, right? So that part of it's true. And I did do the work that he had already was telling other people to do. I was already doing it on my own. I was going by, you know, the lake, water, connecting with the elements. I learned all about the elemental beings. You know, I educated myself because I wanted to be prepared. I like I said in my other video when I did it about Pazuzu, you know, I have fun with these elemental beings. Like, all this fear crap is like fear crap. You know, most of it. I'm not saying, I already said, I'm not saying some of these entities aren't, you know, malicious. Some of them are. But like I said, it's a frequency thing, vibration thing. You know, you only attract what you're vibrating, you know. And I've seen some things because, again, I'm a shaman. So I have the ability to go and traverse to lower realms. And I work with death. And I told you I'm always there during people's transition. And sometimes I talk to the dead, or sometimes actually I don't go seeking to talk to anybody. I told you I let them choose me. You know, I'm not just, oh, I want to connect with this being. No, I'm not doing that. I'm letting them come to me. I'm just letting the process unfold naturally. And it's been working for me phenomenally. So that is very true. And so during the initiation process, obviously, I started connecting with the nature spirits and, you know, the elementals, and moving on, moving on. And so when I finally got to Inner Earth, I remember 1 minute not being in my body and the next minute vibrating back into my body, or manifesting into my body. It's hard to put it into words. Like, I just know I wasn't in my body, and next thing I know, I was vibrating and I was back into my body in this other realm. Maybe it was going through a portal. You know, it's hard to get full memories back, so I get like kind of flashes of what happened. But it doesn't matter. I get the wisdom that comes behind it. So I actually met Ceranos, and I didn't know anything about him. You know, people have wrongly depicted what Lucifer and Satan and all these things look like, you know, Baphomet and all that. And anybody that's an occultist knows what Baphomet is. You know, it's symbology. It's not really what the quote-unquote devil looks like, okay? But all I know is I remember meeting a goat deity. I remember his legs. I remember him having a male torso. And what's funny is that whole week, actually longer than that, the deer have been coming to my husband. Like, literally, we had a huge one stop dead in front of our truck one day and like stared into his soul. And I'm like, dude, they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you something. And of course, I wanted to see what the meaning, you know, of the deer was. And it was to, you know, be gentle and loving, and basically being a good leader, something along those lines. I can't remember, but it was a loving message. But now I understand it was something deeper. So like I said, I seen this being, and I remember waking up, I was like happy. Now, I wasn't afraid. I was happy. I was full of joy. And I remember ignorantly and naively not knowing who I met at the time. I'm like, oh my God, did I meet Satan? And I'm like, babe, I think I met Satan, but it's not what I thought. It's not. I'm like, it was all love, you know? And I'm like, for 6 months, this vision happened, this experience happened, and I had no idea. I was just confused by it. And then later on, when I stumbled across Bashar or Daryl's video, he started talking about, you know, the stages of human evolution and the things that we could do. And that's when I learned about Ceranos. And I swear to God, exactly how he described the meeting of him is exactly how I met him. And so then it turned me into the research of finding out who Ceranos was, finding out it was an old ancient Celtic deity. I think it even goes further than that. And then I seen how we've changed the idea and names of this entity over time. So now remember, we have the organic world, and then there's the shadow world, you know, the shadow fallen matrix. So on the flip side, tying back into the darkness that plagues this tribe, it's the spirit of the Wendigo. And you can see depictions of the Wendigo in the movies like Antlers. I'm pretty sure they have a movie called The Wendigo. But when you look up what the Wendigo is, it literally explains everything that his tribe has went to. Now, my husband is also meant to become a shaman, but he hasn't quite integrated all the darkness within. He's still, on his own little process, and fear debilitates him. And a lot of times, sometimes he's having these night terrors, and I gotta like literally go in dream time because he'll scream for me like, babe, babe, and I have to go get him. And I keep trying to tell him, like, you gotta confront this motherfucker. I said, you can't be afraid. You gotta face it. Whatever. I can't make him do it. He's got to do it on his own. It is what it is. But I'm patient and I'm not afraid. But basically, I know, with the meeting with Theranos, he was basically letting me know who I had in my house. That's how I took it. So it's like and I'm like, great. So I got the ultimate trickster right under my fucking nose. And everything just started to make sense, and it's like, don't get me wrong, on the depth of it all, my man is a very good man, and I see all the beauty and potential in him of what he can be, and he's up to become a master, which, I'm the one training him how to become a master because I've already done this. I've done this several times. I'm a master. I've done this and I've come back. A lot of us have. So, it's like I'm training and teaching him at the same time. And sometimes I piss him off so damn bad it pushes him into the best piece of artwork he's ever done. So when I tell you anger is a powerful tool, it makes you move. It does. And I'm glad to be that flame under your ass that'll make you move, that'll push you into your highest timeline, So darkness doesn't have to be bad. But anyway, so this is the entity that terrorizes my husband. So it's like, on one positive polarity, Theranos would be more like Father Nature. And that's how I felt it. I'm like, oh, we have a Father Nature, of course. That's why he's got the deer and all the animal around him. And, he's a steward and a guardian of nature. And then on the negative polarity, I'm like, oh, he's also the trickster deity. It's funny. This stuff makes me laugh. I know other people are like, oh, I'm so scared. But I'm not scared. It's funny to me. But that's how I perceived it. And I'm like, okay, so if that's Father Nature, obviously I know, I've integrated, my feminine and masculine. I channel more of the divine feminine energy. I'm more of my divine feminine template. So, these are the things that we're meant to embody, the divine masculine and divine feminine. But also, integrated within yourself. So I'm like, oh, so this is the duty of the divine masculine. The divine masculine is supposed to be the steward of earth, right? The protector of the feminine, the protector of the lands, the protector of the animals, the protector. And this is explaining why I've been so angry with a lot of men. Not all men. You got to remember when I'm speaking, I'm just generalizing. I'm not saying anyone specific. I know in the other video I called out some other races. And like I said, that video was specific for them because I see them and I know who they are and I know what they're doing. And I can see that they're playing out their karmic patterns. So if one of them was you and it triggered you, then, maybe you need to think about what I said. And I'm going to just leave it at that. But I'm like, okay, well, I haven't seen this be manifest in men. I have. Now I have. Let me take that back. I have been actually really more proud of the men's side than I've been really kind of mad at a lot of women, but then I see women are finally stepping their game up too. So, like I said, everybody's moving at their own pace, but everybody's moving. That's the point, right? That's the beauty. And as far as what's his name? Ole? I don't know. I told you I was going to talk to you about the different earths. Yes. So it's like this earth realm that we are, it is like the mainframe, if you will. It's the cube, the game that we're all here to play, but in an expansive parallel earth multiverse kind of way. Yes, there's infinite amount of earths that you can experience. And when I talked about the different timelines, as far as the ascension timelines, and we talked about Homo luminous, Homo divinicus, and Homo galacticus, and I said that's the timeline that I chose. That's because I'm open. I'm open to the idea of extraterrestrial races. I'm open to experiencing a world where we're you know, because Mother Earth is like a highway. You know, it's a place where other beings, she's a place of resources. A lot of beings come here for the resources we have that they don't have in their world. You know, it's just like I said before, this stuff has always been going on. Mostly everybody is just now becoming aware of it because it's been hidden. So don't think this stuff has always been happening. There's nothing new under the sun, right? So when I made that post about me knowing that I'm on a galactic timeline, yes, because now people that I previously, especially the elderly, listen, when, you know, back then when I experienced, you had my UFO experience and all that, that was pretty fucking exciting to me. And I know in our older generations, when they try to talk about stuff like that, they got laughed, ridiculed, and I get it. And a lot of them carry that pain because I've been a part of a extraterrestrial support group, and at the moment, I didn't even know that that's what it was. I thought we were just going to talk about our experiences. I didn't know that I was actually going to be talking to people that had trauma behind it. So, you know, I had to kind of like tone my excitement down because I'm like, yay, this is my favorite subject. And I was like, oh, happy, happy, happy. And some of them are like under blankets and, you know, sad. And I'm like, whoa, what did I just walk into? You know, and I'm like, I had to hear. And a lot of them were like military personnel, you know, and oh God, our military. I don't even want to touch that right now, but they've they've they pulled a lot of tricks on humanity. Let me just say it like that. And they did a lot of damage. And a lot of people, my experiences as far as UFOs, and I think I said that I remember specifically meeting one group of beings. To this day, I still don't know who they are because, like I said in the previous video, when, you know, I met them, I was confused. I was mad, demanding to know where the hell I was because I knew I was in a different realm or reality. You know, I was still a baby to some of this stuff. I'm not even going to lie. So, you know, and if they know that you're afraid, anyway, benevolent races, if they know that you're scared or afraid, you know, they don't, that's the last thing they want to do is for you to feel fear. So, to this day, I still don't remember what them group of beings were. I've never seen them. I've never even heard of a depiction of them. I wish, you know, they'd give me another chance so I could try to meet them again. But my experiences were positive. All my negative experiences were in the spiritual world. But, you know, again, it's the path of the shaman. You know, you can even see some people that call themselves shamans. No, you're not. It takes a certain amount of strength, and you got to have some balls about yourself to do this. You got to be able to be okay with the darkness and you know, a lot of heavy dense air energies and these lower realms, because you just can't be weak. So when I, you know, all their light and love and stuff, sometimes it's not always about light and love, honey. So, you know, a lot of these fake spiritualists, they're confusing people, and it's frustrating. But at the same time, if you're not going to be smart enough to do your own research and all that, then in my opinion, you deserve to get got. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how else to say it. That's why I keep telling people, you do it on yourself. Yes, we could act as guideposts. We could point the way. I can illuminate some things, but essentially it's up to you. I don't need you to hang on to every word I say. And my goal and agenda is to give you all the tools that you need so you don't need me ever again. I don't want to have reoccurring clients and, you know, reoccurring things, because then I'm just going to see you as someone that's not taking your path seriously, and you're not really looking to grow. You're looking for a Band-Aid or a quick fix that makes you feel good in the moment, and then you go and repeat the same karmic pattern. So, you know, it's like my goal is to be a one and done thing. And like I said, I don't charge a whole lot of money. You know, sometimes I'll just even take a donation, because I know especially light workers and star seeds are so broke, and that's because of programming, and stuff. And you don't. We should all be supporting each other. And no, it's not always about money. And I hate that they're selling spirituality. It's it's just whatever. We live in a capitalist world. It is what it is. But I'm like, man, people are selling people stuff that they could do for free. Like, what are you guys doing? But I'm not trying to hate. Everybody's got to make their money or whatever. But like I said, I don't charge a whole lot of money. I give you an hour or two of my time depending on what it is. And you can email me at blueserpent426@gmail.com. We could talk. People message me. Oh, and a little update on that girl that I made a video about when for the women. I talked to her and she's doing great. So thank God. I was meditating and, asking the beings of light to go to her rescue because I didn't even know, like, her real name. I couldn't figure. I just found out she's in Wisconsin, recently. But if I could and I would have known, I would have helped to bail her out because that, when that happened to me. But I knew the heavens had my back. Like, the experience I had was beautiful and divine at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, it was awful what they did to me, them putting their hands on me. But at the end of the day, when they locked me up, all the synchronicities was there. There was 144 on my door, all the COs, everybody. It was like I was just in there preaching and activating. So it's like I know that it was kind of like the divine put me there. So for all, it was kind of like an initiation too, because I told you it's a test of character. It's going to be a test of character and a test of will, and to see if you're really about what you're saying. And sometimes the divine will put you in uncomfortable situations to see how you react. And that whole time when I was fighting with the police, I thought I fucked up. I was like, oh my God, I failed. I know I failed. And blah, blah, blah. And I was beating up on myself and come to find. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, but I got the very next day, an angel came to me. And, when he picked me up to extradite me, we talked about creation and Mother Earth and ascension. And he didn't even handcuff me when he took me there. The whole experience after that one suburb, when I got back to Cleveland, the experience was different. It was like, and then like the fact that, I got help to get not only bonded out, they paid to get my truck out of the impound, all that, it was all a blessing. At the same time. And then, like, that's when I got to confront the judge, and it's like, it's a spiritual thing, because that judge was mad. He was so mad. He was especially mad because there was video on it. And, of course they don't want me to go to the news and media and all that because it exposes them. So he was really trying to come at me with all he had. But him and I, you could tell it's a spiritual battle the way someone looks at you. And it's like him and I were piercing each other's soul. And I was like, yeah, motherfucker, we're awake now. And he's like, you don't want these problems. At the same time, it was fucking crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much what I want to come out and say. I love everyone. I want people to please understand I'm not here to take anything away from anyone. I'm here to empower. Okay? So if some people don't understand everything that I know, don't be threatened by it. Don't pull out your Bible and all your books and show me how educated you are because you feel threatened. You get what I'm saying? Just listen or don't, whatever. So, I don't know. There's people that when I've heard other women speak the way that I speak, I was like, fuck yeah. They empowered me. They activated the shit out of me. I'm like, hell yeah. I got excited because I'm like, this women, we're always being told to shut up and to be silent and to be in the kitchen, and that's all we're worth is popping out babies and cooking and cleaning. No, no, honey. No, that's patriarch energy. That's Eve energy, okay? That's what this one guy always says. God created Adam and Eve. And he always coming at me. I'm like, well, who created Adam? Get out of my face. I'm not Eve, okay? They created Eve because they needed somebody to be subservient to men. Well, that's not me. It never will be. So I respect my man. I love and honor my man. But subservient, no. We're equals. We're in a union. The yin and the yang is a complete whole balanced system, not an upper, higher, lower, okay? So if people could just kind of understand it from that perspective, instead of, men are supposed to lead women. And you sound patriarch to me. I can literally hear the patriarch energy coming out of people when they speak. Even my dude. I busted his head wide open one time because of the corruption that's going on in his tribe. They're out in Saskatchewan. I can't even say that word. But that's where they are. And the male chiefs have dropped the fucking ball. And the whole time, I don't have elder. I've been having to rely on my guides and ancestors, honestly, because normally when you're taking the path of the shaman, we used to have elders and other shamans that would kind of guide. I didn't get that. I had to do this in the dark all by myself, so it was not easy for me. It's never been easy for me, okay? But I'm like, I know that in older times they would give you your name. You had to earn your name, and I'm like, well, what's going to be my name? I'm like, I don't need nobody to name me. I'm going to call myself Chief City Bull, because I'm a Taurus. So I'm Chief City Bull. And my dude was like, women can't be chiefs. I'm like, what? I said, the fuck they can't. I said, watch this. When I knew this is where you can use your magic for good, women, remember I was saying you can use your magic for good. I was like, watch this. And I did a ritual. I said, because I knew that his aunt was trying to become chief in their tribe to take over from the man that was being, greedy and they got greed and corruption over there too. It ain't no different out in Canada. Don't let nobody fool you. But I said, watch this. And I did a ritual and I sent help to her. And wow, magically within a month, she became the chief and they got their money. I did that. They were waiting on their money for years and years and years. That's the power of our magic. That's what we could do. We don't, as this brother Q was beautifully saying in his video, people are trying to manifest Ferraris and all these dream things, but it's kind of a selfish desire. If you really care about this world and this path and Mother Earth and human beings, you would be trying to manifest change, things that would benefit humanity. You know what I mean? So that's my point. We can do that, and the more it's for everyone, when it serves all, the more likely and quicker it'll become manifest. Like, instantly. Sometimes I manifest stuff instantly, without a dollar, without a damn dime. Okay? So that's basically what I wanted to come on and say. I just want everybody to enjoy their week. Try to stay a little lighthearted, a little less judgmental, a little more heart open, and a little more open to receive. Okay? And I like that people are asking me to do specific videos on stuff because that helps me. I told you I'm all over the board. I've touched everything. So it's kind of hard for me to get grounded in one topic or one thing. But by you guys asking me and requesting it, then I take off. Yep, give it to me. Tell me what you want me to talk about and I'll take you there. All right? Have a blessed day.